would like to outline what I originally called a curriculum, and now you can call it whatever you'd like. But these are things that can be used by our young and our old. They are reason, logic, clarity of thought, and critical analysis. And you can uphold them and sharpen them by the use of opposing views, dissent, debate, and civility. Those are the tools to hone all of our intellects, that raise the boats of all of our kids' IQs, and that give us a fighting chance in a world that we cannot see. No one can see the future. No one. Not one Sovietologist predicted the end of the Soviet Union. No one can see the future. What we must do is what Hamlet says, preparedness. Preparedness is all. In the military, we want as smart and as agile a group of minds as we can. In business, we want our business run by people who understand risk and courage, and not just profit at any cost. We must take the risk of teaching our young as best we can, so that they can be smarter than us, so that they can claim the birthright of this nation, which is the most courageous, the most extraordinary act of respect for mankind. There's a way of looking at the Bill of Rights as a system of freedoms and responsibilities. And there's another way. And that is, contrary to every other nation ever put together, a small number of people sat down at a table and wrote out, this is who we choose to be. They wrote out a picture of our future moral character. And then they put it up on a wall so that everyone could see every time we failed and every time we succeeded. That action is the most American action of all. It is the most brave, naive, cocky, arrogant, brilliant, and honest thing we've ever done. Because we were not saying we have accomplished this. We were saying this is what we are shooting for. There is a very famous line. Reputation is what the world thinks of us. Character is what God thinks of us. And as a people, we have a character. We must shoot for the highest of our character and not for the lowest of our character. We have seen in this past 100 years people behaving at their worst. We must not accept that. We must say, we didn't do all that work in Philadelphia in 1787 to pass it all off to a bunch of people who behaved stupidly and at their worst. They did it assuming that we would learn and become better. That's why I've always thought that Horace Mann was really the last of the founding fathers, because he knew that we had to be trained in responsible sovereignty and in good citizenship. And to pass off the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to a bunch of people who didn't understand what liberty and accountability and responsibility and reward were, was a crime against history and a crime against Homo sapien. We have a right and reason to be proud of our country. We must be proud of our country because of substantive reasons, and not just because we're south of Canada. We have to be proud of what we've done and what we will do. We should punish the guilty, and we should praise the heroes. I don't think there's anyone here who is exempt from that exercise. We must all hold ourselves accountable. We must all share in what is good and bad. And we must make this country better than it was. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to conclusion of our panel and the online discussion. I want to first thank the entire team that put this together, especially our technology team. To pull 3 sites and the entire internet together was a massive undertaking, and they deserve a round of applause as well. They really did something amazing. So with that, I'd like to turn it back to Richard for an important announcement and to conclude.
When I started this initiative, it was to bring civics back to the American public school system, a revived and enhanced civic education. But that was never really my final goal. It was to have the values that we learned in those classes bled into the culture. And there are a number of endeavors that I thought of and have pursued. One of them is an American history play competition, because we, as a nation of playwrights, don't know how to write our own history, and we write our history as if everyone's wearing togas and are still standing on pedestals. And we don't have the courage to look at the people of our past with the humanity that they had. And so, I established in my mind the idea of an American history play competition among all the LORT theaters, the League of Regional Theaters. There are 75 to 100 of them all over the country. And my idea was that at the end of every season, there would be a MacArthur-sized grant given to the playwright or playwrights who had produced plays good enough to have the theaters put them in their seasons. I've had talks with Ambassador Gene Kennedy Smith. I've had talks with various of the LORT theaters. There's not a LORT theater in this country that doesn't want this. When I realized that I wanted to produce the story of the convention that created the Constitution, and realized that I would have to go to Britain to find the writer smart enough to write that story, I decided, wait a minute. We have to develop this talent and develop the courage to look at ourselves with honesty and intellectual rigor. And so, I'm here to tell you that there's going to be an American history play competition. There will be a MacArthur-sized grant that might be called the Edward Kennedy Prize. And there might be a run at the Eisenhower Theater of the Kennedy Center for every winner, no matter how many there are, for every winner of the American history play competition. It is my hope that we find either stories that nobody knows, I'll tell you, or stories that everyone knows, and the playwright has a take on those stories that illuminate something that we thought we knew all about. In fact, there's more great stories in our country. There's more film than Cirque du Soleil. Our achievement of this governance theory, after a history of darkness and blood and rape and cruelty, and we had the guts to have a twinkle of light established in Philadelphia in 1787, however imperfect, that has moved the world, changed the the vocabulary of the world, and though we may live in a world created by Alexander Hamilton for industry and manufacturing, live in Jefferson's prose of the individual liberties and the protection of due process of law. Due process of law, which means that no one is above the law, has been the reward after how many millions of people have died under the hierarchy of the feudal system, the serf system, the curse that man has always lived under. We have a right to be proud because we actualized that idea that we could rule ourselves. It's not over. The answer's not in. We can't say that we've succeeded. This is a process. And anyone who doubts that the Constitution of the United States is not a living document, and as Justice Scalia says, anyone who thinks it's a living document is an idiot, I would say to Justice Scalia, please read the preamble aloud, because the preamble is all verbs and all activities. I say there's more great theater in our country than you can shake a stick at. And hopefully you'll be able to go to the regional theaters of this country, the Eisenhower Theater in Washington, Broadway, or feature films, and see our history told with honesty and told well. The thing I respect about George Clooney more than anyone, and I don't really know him, is that he created out of truth the best film made about American history ever, in Goodbye and Good Luck, the story of Edward Murrow. I tell you, I'm a person who is automatically compartmentalized as a member of the gaggle of Hollywood liberals. And I like to say two things. One, I gaggle for no one. And two, I am not a liberal. I am a libo, conservo, rado, middle of the roado, just like you just haven't given it any thought. So, I love this event because this event is the process celebrated. This event is civics taught. Civics untaught is a curse. Civics taught puts us a cut above. And I applaud you all. Thank you.